Hi, this is Regina White Favors with Overcoming Setback Requires Correction. And so I want to talk about the topic of missed opportunities and sort of do a little bit of a rant. And a lot of times I do plan things out, but it's just something about missed opportunities that really gets me. I don't know if you are the type of person who is a planner or if you are the type of person who flies by the seat of your pants, or you are that type of person who says let's just live for the day, right? Meaning that you don't really plan for tomorrow. The problem with that logic, using any one of those statements that I used, is that there are opportunities at every step, every level of your life, every moment, every season of your life. One missed opportunity that I think about a lot of times is when I was going to college. And the missed opportunity was to learn what I needed to learn in the space of learning. Sure, I made good grades. I learned in terms of what I needed to learn, but I struggled to set boundaries with friends. I can remember a few times when I could have just not hung out with my friends and just sat there and studied the thing that was before me. And I missed that opportunity. I don't have a learning problem. I did have a procrastination problem. It's something that I make sure that I do not let take hold of my life anymore. I used to be the procrastinating queen, the queen of procrastination. I even wrote an essay about it, and I was very proud of that. And what I realized, however, is after the fact that I lost out on a lot of opportunities because of procrastination. Because I used procrastination as a tool, thinking that it was very effective, I never paid attention to deadlines in terms of, say, applying for scholarships or applying for any type of internship or something like that. And then when I found out about them, or if I knew about them, but I just refused to plan for them, I would sit up here and cry and say, that's not right. They should give me a second opportunity or whatever. Well, that opportunity was the opportunity. When you find out about something, there's a deadline. It's usually 2 or 3 weeks, the deadline will come. What happened was I would wait until the very last, maybe the 2 or 3 days prior to the deadline, to try to work something out, right? And I realized with that I lost out on a lot of opportunities. I lost out on the opportunity to plan. Like when I tell my students today, I teach English, college English. When I tell my students today that as soon as you get the assignment, the writing prompt, that's when you begin planning. That's not what I did when I was a student, however, right? I usually teach where I failed. And so what I would do, I would get the assignment. I know what the assignment is. I would probably go get the books. I would do that. I would go get the books from the library. And sometimes I would begin reading them, but I didn't keep the process up. I would let too much time go in between. And then I'll look up and I'll see that the paper is due the next 2 or 3 days, and there it is. I'm sitting up here crying at the computer, talking about why I waited too long, and I need some extra time, and I should have done this long time ago or whatever. And then I would go ahead and finish, type that last line of my paper, finish, print it out, and say, and sigh this big relief, just exhale, right? And I thought I had really done something. And sure, I turned it in, and I just so happened to be a pretty good writer, so I did make good grades on my writing in English, but there were just a very few times that I did not make good grades on it, right? Well, fast forward to becoming a teacher of English, and one day before I moved from San Diego to Dallas, back to Dallas, I looked over a lot of my papers I had written in college, and I thought they were great. I was trying to pull a book together, and I was, and I have to redevelop that book, update it, etc. Right? But when I looked at those papers from the lens of now an English teacher, I realized that they were full of crap. Not all of them, because again, I do write well, and so I can do. Sometimes you can kind of get over it, right? Because you do have that skill. But I realized what I learned from reviewing all of my papers through the lens of a teacher is that anything that you do at the last minute is not does not reflect quality. If you know that you have to get something done and you know that it's going to take 2 weeks to get it done, then you need to take 2 weeks to get it done. You don't wait until the night before just because you just so happen to be skilled at something to, create that thing, right? Because it has its own process. If you're writing a paper on a particular topic, okay, it's going to take strategy, take outlining, strategy, what's your thesis, what sources you're going to use. You're going to have to take some time to read those sources to determine if they are going to be of some support in your paper. You need to be able to build skill in sustaining your argument, etc. So there's a lot of missed opportunities that you can make, that you have. Another missed opportunity was when I was serving on student government. Student government, the irony is I never served on student government in high school. So it was very interesting that I would choose to serve on student government in college. But I did. And I found it very useful, but it also was very distracting because I was not getting out my studies. And what I learned in that situation, and the thing is, I love being on those committees, but what I realized was I was trying to be something before my time, and that I forgot to be a student. And being whatever season you're in, you have to be a student, right? Anything that you want to later master or rule over, you're going to have to become a student of it. So the setback was all of those missed opportunities, and I have many more missed opportunities where there was an inherent instruction. If I am enrolled as a student, the inherent instruction is be a student. No one really should have to shout that out to me or shout that out to you if you may be struggling with the same thing. That if you are a student, you need to be a student and learn your lessons and turn everything in on time, do a quality job. But that was the setback, that I was using procrastination to sort of support my attitude or belief system that what you do at the last minute actually is your best work, right? But that can't be, because you have many more people who do who begin much earlier and do much more quality work. So that's where I want you to think about. There are other types of missed opportunities in terms of finances. I remember a girl at my job. She and I were around the same age. I think I was older, somewhere around 19, 20. And she just so happened to be a very good saver. Something in her just clicked about saving money, having a savings plan. And we worked on this job. It was a fly-by-night company. They messed up our paychecks and everything. And I was trying to leave every time I could get, try to find another job. I ended up moving to San Diego, though. And before I left, she had bought a house with that same job. We were on the same job, and somehow she ended up buying a house. So that told me, and I didn't get it at that time, I respected her. I wasn't jealous of her, but I think I did not necessarily respect her. I didn't respect the instruction that God was using through her, that it can be done whether you are making, $50,000 a year or $25,000 a year, right? That you can manage your finances. So fast forward, I was struggling in my finances. There was a lesson there at 19 and 20 that I did not receive. And so then I ended up having to struggle much later because I did not receive that instruction, or I did not obey that instruction. So that means I had to go through a setback, ended up having to learn new lessons, etc. And so I'm much I'm much, much better now, but it took some years. It took some years to get to a better understanding. So overcoming setback requires correction, meaning that when you miss opportunities is, as I have said in previous audios, that lesson is still down the road. There's no way around it. That lesson is still down the road. And it can be, if you go on ahead and learn that lesson now, it makes it much easier for you down the road. How many people now in their 40s and 50s who saved in their teens and 20s or, sort of coasting? They're not maybe completely rich or anything like that, but they don't have the same stresses as a person who is part of the working class who are still trying to make ends meet. They saved very early in their individual development, and so by the time they get to 40s and 50s and then their 60s, they can retire. Whereas some people who did not plan well, who never kept a job, who jumped from job to job, are having to return to the workforce in their 60s and 70s, sometimes even in the 80s. So I don't think that's a good idea, of course, but that's what happens if you do not plan the way you need to plan. So that's my rant on missed opportunities. Thank you for listening.